This year marks the 25th anniversary of The Sims, and I thought there's no better way to celebrate than recreating one of my favourite items in real life. So let's see a need, fill a need. This right here is the deviant sun lamp first featured in The Sims 4 Paranormal Pack. It's stylish, spooky, and would look perfect on my bedside table. So today we're going to model it, print it, and then lamp it? Usually I'd start with a sketch, but lucky for me I can just hop into The Sims and get some reference screenshots. The more detail, the better. Once I've got everything I need, I pop my reference images into Blender and start modelling. As this is a pyramid, we can get away with stacking our modifiers creatively to make our lives easier. We're going to start by modelling a cube, scaling it to size, and then adding some loop cuts to cut it into eighths. Then we add an empty on one corner of the box, rotate it to 45 degrees and delete everything except these two faces. Let's add a mirror modifier with the mirror object set to that empty, and now we have a corner that mirrors itself. To that we add another mirror modifier and wham bam thank you ma'am, we're back to where we started. But this time anything we do to one face happens to the rest of them. We can use a solidify modifier to give the lamp some thickness, and after an evening of modelling, we're left with this. I'm using a blend file that's somewhat optimised for CAD. It's not perfect, but it gets the job done. And it's yours completely for free, along with all of the other project files down in the description below. And yes, that includes STLs. Now we've got everything modelled, I send it to the printer. There was a lot of trial and error. By the end of the week, my desk was looking like a game of Rivals. While that was all printing, I went to learn how circuits worked. I have very little experience with microcontrollers, but luckily there's this great software called WLED. You boot it from your browser and it just works. There is some work involved in setting up the circuitry, but I found some great videos to fill in a lot of the gaps. Chris Mayer is the authority on WLED. Resin Chem Tech has a great video about adding components to your lights, and Rachel DeBarros was an absolute godsend when it came to understanding how an LED circuit works. Even with all these tutorials, I still needed to go ask the experts over at WLED and Ask Electronics for a bit of help. One of my favourite tips was going for Wago connectors instead of a breadboard. This made it super easy to slip the project into the casing and not have to worry about soldering. Except for this, but we'll get into that in a moment. There was one point where I thought I'd fried the ESP, but it turns out that it was just a dodgy wall adapter. Once I was satisfied that everything worked safely, I could remove the supports from my prints and start assembly. The hard part's out of the way, the rest is pretty self-explanatory. The first thing you should do is attach your magnets. The magnets I'm using are 5mm by 2mm. If your tolerances are a bit too tight, you can gently heat up your print and push the magnets through while it's warm. Or you can use a wooden mallet and a stack of magnets to offset your hammer blows. Then comes the legs. It's much easier trying to screw them in now. After that, we can thread our power cable through this hole in the back, and once you've carefully positioned your components inside, you can hot glue them down and put your LED panel on top. Quick disclaimer, I'm not an electrician or qualified in any way to do any of this, so if you see something that's not best practice, please leave a comment below. I'd prefer to keep the house. Before we get to those sexy shots of the lamp, I want to add an extra feature. A light in the top so I can walk around in the middle of the night and get snacks or cut hair. I'm cannibalizing one of these push lights so I can take the pre-made circuit, extend it with some cables, and then put it in the top. So there we have it, the deviant sun lamp brought to life. Thank you very much for sticking around to the end of the video. If you have enjoyed, please feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more of this kind of stuff. Yeah, I guess I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.